Should start now. And you should be able to hear me. You should be able to hear me speaking. I can see it live.
Yeah, I don't see any indication
The
of there
YouTube
being anything
studio says
live.
it's live. Oh, there we are. Should start now.
Give it a
There we
couple
go.
minutes.
And I can hear my audio, so I think we're good.
You can see it?
Just in the YouTube studio, it comes up. I think a little bit.
Okay,
quicker.
here we go. Here we go. Live now. All right, let's see what that's all about.
But I'm gonna switch now. Yeah, I don't know why all the settings change as frequently as they do. It's kind of a pain in the neck. I don't feel as strongly about it as Legrand does. He gets real mad.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, well, you know.
Okay, it seems like it's working.
Yeah, it seems like it is.
Close that tab now.
I think that means we got to do this.
Before I use up all my bandwidth.
They still parceling it out up there in the Pacific Northwest.
No, but it makes a good excuse.
Yeah, it does. Strongly about it as Legrand does. He gets real mad. All right, so.
All right, I'll start recording. I did start recording.
Nice.
I have started recording.
I
am
also
currently recording.
Have done these things. These things are done here also. All right, let me.
You're only going to talk about one of these games, right?
Kinda.
What's the deal with why are they both fishers and sea and
well,
fishing?
I'll get to talk about that because actually in the most recent in the episode last, I think
talked about the fishing game.
I talked about the fishing game and it didn't go.
But that wasn't.
Well, here let's get started. No, it wasn't either of these.
What?
Yeah.
What are you doing over there?
Let's go ahead and get started. 3, 2, 1. Ow.
All right.
I'm too powerful today.
I let you extra strength just then.
Yeah, it was enough. I can still feel it. Can you see that energy?
Spooky action at a distance, you know. Quantum entanglement. Where our hands are quantumly entangled.
Dang. So what happens if I like put them in my mouth?
It's like we're holding hands. Yeah. Oh, it's a little crazy. Gross.
Yeah, I know. Felt gross. I don't know where your hands have been.
No. I haven't washed them in a long time.
Did you hear that guy? I saw that some guy on the I saw on the internet that some guy who was like the world's filthiest man who had
the filthiest man died.
He like took a bath and then died or something. I mean, I'm sure he just complained about it like that was it. I mean, he was probably sounds like
I read that like some kids were bullying him and gonna like try to make him go into the river to take a bath, and he ran away from them or something.
Yeah, that was
this was like a previous incident.
That was his supervillain origin story. That was his spooky. Started going back and killing people in their dreams.
Excuse me. I still have like I don't know a cough every so often from I don't know if it's related to the COVID or if it's like the allergies or if it's like something else.
Really, the secret content for the Game Bytes Show video stream is that you're generally the phlegmiest person on the show.
Really?
Kinda. Like not, I don't mean to like make you self-conscious about it.
I wonder if it's like my mic picks it up more or something like that.
I don't know, but definitely that can. Like I just start to notice mouth noises more.
Yeah.
Like I sometimes you could just make like a supercut of everybody going like like all it's pretty gross.
That really bothers some people.
It bothers me when I do it. So I actually one thing I try to not do anymore is smack my lips like right as I talk because I noticed I was doing it a lot.
That's unconscious.
Have you ever but you can take control of it though. Like have you ever tried to stop saying
It's difficult.
I have a friend who was in Japan and he started saying no. Like he heard someone do it and then he started doing it and then he couldn't stop doing it after that.
Yeah.
And you can stop, you just have to be mindful about your speech. It's a little hard, but you can do it.
Right. I noticed at one point when I was in junior high or high school, there was this one friend that I hung around a lot and he had this one particular way of laughing. And like at some point later, I noticed myself doing it that way. And I was like, how do that's, I don't know. My
was it a good laugh or was it like, like, did you notice the first time you did it? And you were like,
no, it was kind of like what's the word? Aspirated? It's kind of an aspirated, like, something like that. And yeah, after a while, I wasn't even like when I wasn't even hanging around.
We weren't even that good of friends.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Have you ever lived in a place and started picking up speech mannerisms, like when you lived in? I mean,
I do that a
you
lot.
have lived in a lot of speech affected places.
No, absolutely. I've gone back and forth a lot because, like, when I was a kid and my parents were divorced, and I'd go back and forth between like Arkansas for the summer and then like Kansas or Germany or whatever for the
Yeah.
school year. And yeah, my parents would always talk about how like I had a completely different accent after I came
When you
back.
showed
So,
up, that's funny.
yeah, so
Well,
it's weird.
well, podcasting will cure you, or it'll just be memorialized forever.
We get that
Every lip
mid-Atlantic
smack.
radio accent.
That's right.
Today on the
On
Game Bytes
the
Show.
worldwide news of video games, how, whatever.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to your Game Bytes Show podcast. It is November the 1st. It is 11/1/2022.
Ides of November.
Ides of November, the last palindrome of the year, I think this is.
11
Before 11/11.
11/01
11/11/22. Pretty sure.
It's 11. It's
It
just
checks out.
11/01.
Checks out. I saw it on Wikipedia.
Wait, doesn't Starfield release like in 10 days or something?
Actually, that is one date series, because isn't the whole thing about that like Skyrim and Elder Scrolls stuff released on some day?
Yeah, it was
regularly,
11/11/11. Skyrim.
Is it
was
only that one?
11/11.
Oh, see, that's not a trend. People just are looking. See, but
Well, there was 9/9/99.
yeah, I guess I was just gonna cite that as like a real date, but I guess it
Yeah.
wasn't really. Really, I'm just waiting for Sonic Tuesday again. That's where I'm at. Guys, I'm your host, Jeremy Lawman Lamont, sitting in for LeGrand Jolly, who is. I think both of our guys are just out sick. I
They're
think
just lazy.
they're
They're just being lazy.
down with the sickness.
They'd rather actually be playing video games than talking about them.
That's actually pretty smart. I don't know why I didn't ever think of that before. But I'm joined by someone who is not as smart as either of those guys. Dale Count Elder Jones. How you doing there, Dale?
Indeed.
Yeah,
I'm okay.
Good. I'm good.
Been better, been worse.
Yeah, I'll just, for full disclosure, I'm gonna disclose on Dale's behalf. It is pollen season. Like mold is the creeping mold is out and about in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Dale's been slimed.
Well, I tell you, I wonder if it has to do with all the leaves that are falling down, because we've just now gotten to the leaves falling down portion of the year.
Do people
Over here.
do falling leaves cause problems for people, or is that a?
Well, here's my hypothesis.
Okay.
Is that the chemical reaction that causes the leaves to fall is triggered by some emission at the end of the tree branch that it's like a chemical severance of the leaf stem that causes the leaf to fall, and that chemical is what gets in the air.
Is that it?
Makes my eyes irritate. That's my completely made up hypothesis.
No. I think there's something to it. In fact, I seem to remember that during the Cold War, or slightly after the Cold War, Russian scientists were exploring tree telepathy. Are you familiar with that? How they were like figuring out that groves of trees were like somehow in communication, and it had something to do. Yeah, you mentioned in our early sort of pre-show YouTube.com/GameByteShow pre-show content, quantum entanglement, and it actually had something to do with that. Like they were actually studying that, and it had to do with the psychic connection between groves of trees communicating with one another. And I am willing to bet that you are just telepathically sensitive.
That's a lame form of telepathy.
If
I could choose another one, if I could get like pyromancy or something.
I think about that a lot. Like in X-Men and in Marvel, stories, it's like, oh, my latent ability is I've got like eye beams or something like that. But I think it'd be pretty good if like, I don't know, the tips of your hair follicles just turn bright orange, or I don't know, something like that. Or...
When you get embarrassed.
Yeah, something like that.
But still, your parents send you off to Xavier's School for the Gifted.
They're like,
you gotta find some way to use that.
Your helicopter mom does your interview for you and gets you in. Like, no, he's really talented. He's just, you should really appreciate my boy. Yeah, well, Dale, we'll
danger room.
Your first and last time.
Yeah,
just get smeared on some holographic wall.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dale, we'll make it through. I promise we won't make it long. This will be a 30-minute Game Bytes Show podcast, half an hour of nuggets.
We're gonna have to stretch to get a full 30 minutes.
We might have to. We'll have to bring it out long. I think we're already up to like a couple extra minutes right now. So.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I guess happy Halloween to those of you who are so inclined. I got 2 trick-or-treaters. Dale
Same.
said 2, yeah. I actually, in fact, I
Yeah,
had
ton of candy.
really, I've got 4 bags of chocolate, and today I've eaten 4. Did you ever see, you know that thing where it's Leonardo DiCaprio, that meme, and he's like all fat and kind of like with his glass, and I saw one that was like the kids. You never,
It's not the Gatsby
like,
one.
yeah. He's like all kind of like chubby and like he's,
Really?
like all bougie.
Not the one where he's like toasting
No,
and
no, no,
eating.
not the toasting one.
Okay.
He's like kind of laughing, and he kind of looks like. But the thing was,
Oh,
so
that's the Django, Quentin Tarantino,
oh, is that from
Django,
Django?
and
Well,
that's Django,
so I
right?
saw one
Yeah.
where someone had photoshopped him to be like all chubby, and the point of the meme was kids after Halloween. Hey, what happens to all of our peanut butter cups? Me, like laughing
Yeah.
at the fat. That's me. I ate. Except
Yeah.
the secret plot twist is that I bought them all myself. And now I'm stuck with them. I'm actually
And nobody came to trick or treat, and
yeah.
so
Now I'm
yeah.
stuck. But I don't regret a thing. I think every year I will hold it out for Halloween until someone declares the thing officially over.
We've got a couple of kids that want to go trick or treating last night.
Sure.
So my wife and I went and walked them through the neighborhood along with one of their friends. And since we were all going to be out, we put our big bowl of candy out on the front porch, and just didn't even put a sign or anything, just like honor system or whatever.
Right.
And I expected to come back and find it empty, but instead it almost had not
There's
been
more
touched at all.
people brought more in.
Yeah, they're like dropping like Jolly Ranchers,
all the stuff they don't want.
Yeah,
That's the secret. That's what you got to do. You bring in like the malt
make
balls or
room.
something.
Yeah, we could have actually, because by the time we got through, some of the streets around here, like not even half of the area we could have trick or treated at. Both the girls' buckets were full. Like I'm stuffing stuff in my pockets to like make room for them in their buckets. It was like, anyway, yeah, they got a bunch of stuff.
That's the real plot of Lone Wolf and Cub is, Dad takes his kids out, stuffs his own pockets with candy.
Mm-hmm. Somebody was giving them like, do you know that brand of chips that's like popcorners?
Oh yeah, I love popcorners.
Yeah, somebody was giving them like bags of popcorners.
That's awesome, and they have like kettle corn, like cinnamon ones. Somehow, so I don't know if you know what popcorners are. They're like triangular
it's popcorn.
Yeah, it's like popcorn chips. So I don't know if they like
Dorito.
pulverize the popcorn and make it into just like, I don't know how they do it, but it's delicious.
I'll tell you, food production facilities have some pretty interesting machines.
Yeah, I don't know. There's weird people. I gotta hand it to the guy who invented cotton candy though. Like warming up candy so that it spools out in a spinner to make like little threads.
Have you ever done it?
Yeah, I have. It's
like
amazing.
We rented one for a party one time, and it was like,
it's amazing.
Just do it yourself.
It's amazing.
Pretty cool.
Well, there's our filler content for the week. It is time to talk about some video games and video game news and all kinds of things that are going on. And Dale, I'm going to give you the baton. Tell us, what have you been playing this week?
Well, this is a game that I wanted to be checking out for a long time. I don't know if that's proper grammar, but I wanted to been checking it out for a while.
I'm picking up what you put.
So much so that actually my buddy Esteban,
he friend of the show, Call a Podcast host. I mean, I don't. Do we still say that? I do.
Sure.
You know what? For me, stuff that's like 2009 or whatever, like that's still going on for me.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like yesterday.
In fact, I'm going to talk about something today, and I'm like, wow, that was 15 years ago or whatever.
Well, so anyway, the last time, or one of the last times we were talking about like tabletop games and everything. Are you familiar with Gloomhaven?
Yeah, in fact, actually, it was there's I think a card game version of it, and it was on a sale on Amazon, like half off, and I was considering getting it, but I've heard it takes like 8 hours to play or something.
The PC version was free on Epic Games, just like a couple of weeks ago or whatever.
Yeah.
I picked that up, but the game itself, for anybody who hasn't heard of it, it's like if you see the box for this like quote unquote board game, it's more of like a tabletop role playing miniatures card,
like all the knickknacks.
It's everything together. It's got a massive box. It's like the size of like an actual treasure chest, like you would find in a dungeon. It's like that size, and it's like the whole thing is like it's like $250 or something. It's a massive game, right? And so I just by the nature of it being what it was, I'd seen it around in some game stores and like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So then my friend Esteban starts actually like playing the tabletop version of this with his game group there in Tokyo, and I was getting him to tell me a little bit about it just because it was interesting. And this is years ago now. This is probably, I don't know, whenever it first came out, like 2018 or maybe before that even, I don't know. But so anyway, somebody, I guess, immediately like licensed it for PC and created a PC game. And at first, apparently when it came out, it wasn't like very good. It wasn't, it was like early access, and it wasn't,
Right.
all that quite yet.
Not feature complete.
Yeah, definitely not feature complete. And in fact, that's the digital version like a few years ago now. However, it has recently, I say recently, I think it's been like probably within the last 6 months or so, hit 1.0, and it is up to its sort of I guess full release status now, and I'm given to understand it's like the complete contents of the tabletop games campaign system, which is something like 95 or 100 missions or whatever. And in addition to that, there's extra content that they've added, which I think is supposed to sort of serve as dual purpose, as like tutorial and as additional campaign missions.
Yeah,
And
from what I understand, there's also like a multiplayer
yeah,
add-on or something like that. Like,
yeah, I think it's meant to be like multiplayer co-op. So like, how some people get on Tabletop Simulator or
yes, and just
Roll
make,
20
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
just
and just
whatever.
make things.
Yeah, so I think you can basically do like a party adventure with this client online as well. Um, but yeah, so I wanted to check it out, and like I said, it was free on Epic. I don't know, a couple weeks ago, something like that. If not before. Anyway, I picked it up then in lieu of actually like buying it on Steam for $30 or whatever it is. And so yeah, I decided to check that out the other day, and it's cool actually. What it has in common, I think, and it probably due to its origin as a tabletop game, is that it's the type of tactical game where there's a hex grid. Sometimes there's just square grids, but it's when you load up a scenario, you can tell that it comes from the tabletop version of the game just because it's so like tight and confined.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whereas like a video game version of like an XCOM or a Final Fantasy Tactics or a BattleTech or whatever that like has infinite space to play with, they don't really confine themselves to tabletop board game scope, dungeons and whatnot. Whereas this one does, and I guess it's because it's being true to the board game, which I really almost have absolutely no idea what it looks like, because I've never seen it
Right.
in person, play it or anything. Basically the limit of my experience is seeing the box in a game store and like then
Being really intimidated, backing away slowly.
Yeah, and thinking, man, that's cool. I wish I had the group and time and money and and everything else.
My entire
like
reality was rearranged around this game.
Well, yeah, not only that, but you would also need like 2 or 3 years of solid
Yeah.
game nights to probably play through it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So anyway, this is kind of the type of thing that sometimes I think actually makes more sense as a video game or a PC game. That's where you don't have to do the setup every time you want to play. You just log onto your thing.
Right.
Because that's the problem I get with like playing 40K sometimes, is there could be a ton of setup.
Yeah, there's a lot like that. I mean, there's also like just all kinds of board games. A lot of mobile stuff actually works really well for that too.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just a pleasure to play it digitally because you just want to drop in and set up a random scenario and only but back to what Gloomhaven is, or at least the mode that they present you with here, PC version of the game. I forget what they call it now. It's like Guildmaster mode or something, and it sets you in the role of a guy who's setting up a mercenary company, a la Battle Brothers or Darkest Dungeon or even BattleTech.
Yeah. Yep.
And you are tutorialized in how to do basic actions by just controlling one dude at a time, and then their narrator will be like, "Oh, next we need to go and recruit the scoundrel class, which is basically like a thief." And then after that, it's like you go and recruit the mage equivalent or whatever it is. And so the next one I have queued up to do is to go recruit the guy who I guess is kind of like a technology expert. I haven't done that one yet. But these are all sort of, like I said, it's dual purpose. It's tutorialization missions while also setting up your party for the eventual adventure to begin. Right. I find the way that this game does its dungeon encounters and dungeon quests, which is where most of the gameplay is kind of interesting. So it's hex based areas, as I said, but all of your movement and all of your actions are card based, and so I'm not sure how it would play out on the tabletop, but in this game each of your characters begins an encounter with I think it's about a 12 card deck all in all, but not all of them are active from the beginning. Most of them are. You have one or two that have already started play in what they call the discarded or burned state. So there's three states. There's like the cards that are ready to be used, the cards that are discarded, which indicates that they've already been used, and then there's burned, which are these are ones that have both been used and then maybe even reused and are no longer
taken
available
out of the game, right?
For this encounter or this mission, basically. But then there's ways to sort of bring them back into consideration. You can, at the beginning of your turn, depending on how many cards you have left open, which if you're just beginning the encounter, you probably have 9 different cards to choose from. And actually the number is important because you need to choose 2 for your character to have a full turn. They have to have 2 cards available because they're going to take 2 actions. And each card is 1 action. And you may have up to 8 or 10 available. Or you may be down to your last 1, right? And in that case, you're going to have to do a rest. There's a short rest and a long rest. A short rest will allow you to replenish, I think it's all of your cards that are in the discarded status, by burning at random one of those cards.
The ones, yeah.
Yeah. Or you can do a long rest, which will forfeit your turn for a battle round for that character. But again, replenish all your cards. And I think it actually does still cost you the burning 1 card. It also has the additional benefit of giving you some life back.
I think it gets you some hit points, yeah.
Yeah. So you're familiar with the game.
Yeah, I actually played. I was gonna talk about it, but I actually played like 3 rounds of it, and I was like, something about it really frustrated me. And I think, and I want to bounce this off you to see what you think of this. I think that I felt really underpowered all the time. Like you basically you can get hit like twice or something, and then you're dead in the tutorial. And I don't know if this is how it is in the kind of the main campaign or the main part of the game, but in the tutorial, everything is set up to be like you could get a perfect. Like we're going to teach you how to move.
It's like a puzzle to solve.
Exactly. Like we're going to teach you how to move and fight, and you better destroy this guy in 1 turn or else you lose.
Exactly the right way.
And then I kind of felt like, well, is the whole game this way? And like I feel really fragile because if you take a hit, you can either burn a bunch of cards or take damage that's permanent or something, and you basically have and they'll hit you for like 8 points or something, and then you're dead. Like that's it. And so I felt like my abilities are very, like you get 1 or something, or 2 tops, and then you're like to conventional combat, like you just got to swing and hit people. And I just felt like I just got the sense that I was going to be struggling all the time, and I didn't really want to do that.
It does kind of feel like that game. It kind of feels like how XCOM can be, where it's like constantly a struggle.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard about this game, it is like that most of the way through, or all the way through, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point of it. But one thing that I thought was kind of interesting and I guess they do it as a balancing mechanic, but the way that you have to take 2 actions, so you have to use 2 cards, and you have to go from each card has 2 choices, 2 primary choices. There's a top half and a bottom half, and whatever 2 cards you choose. Which, I mean, the order that you choose them in can have an effect on your initiative, which I'll get to in a little bit. But apart from that, once you've got your 2 cards chosen, it doesn't really matter if you do card A first or card B first. What matters is, say you're going with card A first. If you choose the top ability, then you're locked into using the bottom ability of the other card, or vice versa. If you use the bottom ability of card A, you only use that one, and you're locked into using the top ability of card B. So what that means is that
spot or something like that, right? Like,
yeah, any two abilities that are on the same card are mutually exclusive. Therefore, unless there's like some ability later that lets you use both abilities,
or a character class or something.
Yeah. But yeah, the core of the game basically makes it such that like you can only ever combine top and bottom abilities, and never top and top or bottom and bottom. So that seems like a way for the game to balance itself, or the designers to balance certain abilities against other ones is to keep them in the top set or the bottom set, which I thought was kind of interesting. And then going back to the initiative thing, this I thought was interesting as well. You choose the actions for your characters, not knowing what actions the enemy units are on the board are going to take. And what you do know though is that each card you choose has an initiative value on, and those go from I think 0 to 100, and the
Okay.
lower is the better, right? So like an initiative 10 is going to happen very quickly and likely faster than anything the opposing side might do, right?
Right.
An initiative like 87 ability is going to happen very late and probably after it the other side might do. So if you're facing a couple of archers as your enemies and you choose a couple of abilities that are like 10 and 30, there's a decent chance that well, here's the thing: if you choose the 10 one first, 10 is what counts as your initiative. If you choose the 31 first, 30 is what counts as your
Yeah.
initiative,
So, and I
which
think
is,
I
yeah,
think it sort of makes sense because like usually those abilities are like there's quick ones that won't attack so much, and then there's so you're sort of making a little bit of a wager based on what you think the other guy is going to do, right? So because I found
yeah,
in the tutorials I would be like, oh, clearly they want me to do this, but it wasn't what they wanted me to do, so I would lose. But
yeah,
I
yeah.
did get what they were going for.
You gotta pay attention. That's the thing. I'm not to the point of the game yet where it's no longer offering me prompts, and I assume that's going to be the case at some point. But right now, it's still kind of like, here's what you got to do.
Right.
In this one round, cause 6 damage to the opponent,
Right.
and move over there and grab that gold, right?
Right.
And then so you just look at your cards and go, oh, this is the 2 cards that are going to allow me to do that, right? But I'm assuming that at some point later on, it opens up and you are left with one of those like analysis paralysis
Right.
situations
Right.
where
Right.
you're like, oh my god, I got 30 options.
Yeah.
What do I choose? You know, and if and when it gets to that point, I'm curious to see if it still is like an instant fail sort of thing, or if it lets you do what they call fail forward. Like where it doesn't immediately end the game when one wrong move, but it allows
Right.
you the
It will
chance to
let
try to
you
recover.
redeem yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, what you got here is a fantasy dungeon crawl with all the expected classes of enemies and characters, with the sort of plot, if we're going to call it that you might expect from like a mercenary dungeon crawling building sort of thing. But it does seem cool so far, and the fact that it is so well grounded in like an actual tabletop game with actual mechanics that have to be balanced,
Right.
without the aid of a CPU, I think gives it a certain quality that um, you can appreciate, man.
And I think it is kind of cool. I mean, I guess where I was a little frustrated about kind of the weakness of the characters, I think that what it does is it makes the scale of the game much more intimate. You're not ranging around gigantic areas fighting 12 monsters. Like you've got to be in a
Yeah,
brawl. Like you and your two guys got to be in a brawl with like these two guys, and it could go south pretty quick if you're not careful.
yeah. One
Uh,
sword to the gut is gonna,
yeah,
you know.
exactly. Exactly. That's exactly right. And so I can appreciate that. I just I think I can appreciate it from a distance. I mean, I just wasn't in the mood at the time. Maybe I should go back and try. You know what we should do? We should try a multiplayer and see what it's like to play.
I'm definitely interested in continuing just to see like I want to get it because I feel like so far still on the on ramp.
Yeah,
I want to
right.
get onto the highway and see what it's
Right.
like at
Right.
speed.
Well, let's try it out multiplayer and let's see if it's
Yeah,
see
yeah,
how
we'll do
that
that.
goes. We'll give that a shot. Well, cool. Well, what I've got this week is last week I had mentioned, and this was just because I noticed that bass fishing game 2022 or whatever was going off
Yeah,
Game Pass, and so last week I decided I would try it. If you listened last week, I did not care for it. All of the worst parts of fishing. I mean, navigating out to the
mhm.
area, casting in a place, waiting, maybe something bites, it breaks off the line, do it all again, and maybe somebody finds that enjoyable. I did not. But I noticed as I was scrolling through the PlayStation Plus extended. What is that middle tier called again? There's PlayStation Plus
Got me,
Essential,
man.
Extra, PlayStation Plus Extra,
Every extend
every extend. Oh,
extra.
that's a good game. That's a pretty good game. But I noticed that there were like 5 fishing games available, and I'm
Huh.
standing by this idea that these sports games and fishing sport
That's a
adjacent,
sport.
it's something people go outside
Yeah.
to do it. That they're more fun then kind of in the same way that this board game, right? Like you don't want to get all your fishing gear and load up your tackle box and
Right.
go to Walmart and buy a bunch of bait. You
Drive
don't want to do
45 minutes to
that.
the
Yeah,
lake.
right. And,
Yeah.
and actually in this game you can fly to like the second mission. You go to fly to the Czech Republic, and I'm like there flying all this
I'm
way.
never gonna fish in the Czech
Yeah,
Republic.
catching a 0.4 pound fish after my fourth. Like this is not what I would be doing in the Czech Republic. But I decided, okay, so last week it didn't work and I gave up on it. This week though, I thought I would give it another shot. So I actually did try the Fisherman Fishing Planet. And I think there's some branding in there, and I'm not sure if it's the Fisherman part of Fishing Planet.
Is this done by the same people that did the game Hunter?
Hunting Planet? I don't know.
Hunt. What is that game called?
Hunter, Hunt for Huntness.
It's just like I think it's the Huntsman.
Hunter the Hunted.
I don't know.
To be honest,
it's not Hunter the Reckoning.
Here's the thing: I'm going to make this brief. It also didn't do it for me. This game was a little more accessible than the fishing. I'm going to tell you what. Every week, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try out another one of these fishing games and see if there's one that catches me.
So this one that hooks you.
The one that hooks me. But this one didn't do it. It was a little better than the last one. But hook, line, and sinker, not yet. But I tried it. It was fine. It makes you buy licenses, and you can equip your tackle box, and there's different lures and stuff. And I figured that this is probably for people who already know how to fish. I would like something that will slowly teach me how to fish, and I would like to do, I would like to like hit A repeatedly in order to like power drive the fish.
You're not a real fisher. You're not a fisher.
I mean, I've done it before when I was a kid.
An angler, as we call ourselves.
Oh, in the industry, the lingo,
in the business. Yeah.
I think my grandpa took me once. I caught a fish in like Yellowstone Lake or something, but not really. But I did sort of appreciate. I mean, I was sort of pondering as I was sitting waiting for some electronic fish to maybe on some random number generator to bite. I was sort of appreciating the ancient art of fishing and how all fishing rods are, created with like the wiggly tips so that you can kind of tell that something is getting you. Like it's not just wiggly for the fun of it. It's kind of like an antenna that's out there. So you can, and there's all kinds of different parts to the fishing kit also that I was not familiar with. Like I know what a lure is and I know what a sinker is, but there was like, there was some other stuff in there too. Yeah. There's
rod and reel.
Yeah. There was different kinds of things. And I was just like, well, this is too much for me. And there was still like a lot of sitting and waiting. So I decided, you know what? This is not going to be the game I talk about this week. Instead, I decided that I wanted to play something that was a little more my speed. So I got out a game called Ace of Seafood. And Ace of Seafood is not a fishing game. Ace of Seafood is an underwater, almost flight simulator-esque sea life. I want to call it like dogfight laser combat simulator. Ace of Seafood. That's right. And it's kind of goofy. Pretty sure it's Japanese. But it gives you at the beginning the opening screen. There's not like a title screen or whatever. It just gives you a screen with these images of pretty decently rendered different kinds of fish, like salmon, and I don't know. There's probably like a cod or something on there. But there's also crustaceans. You can be a shrimp if you want. And it says, "Tell us your background." And that's the prompt for you to select one of these things. And so you then
survivor, a heroic mission completer.
Exactly. So I chose a shrimp because I felt like the shrimp was going to be the most powerful. And so it loads you into the game, and you're in PlayStation 3 era rendering of kind of the undersea world of Jacques Cousteau. And you are, in my case, a shrimp. And you have basically, you can walk around on the seafloor, or you can squeeze one of the triggers and move fast, which is sort of like swimming or something. So you can swim around, and you can look around, and you can target things that are under there. You'll come across jellyfish or starfish or whatever kind of crawling along the bottom. But you can also fire laser-guided weapons at things. So you can shoot like it's almost like it's like blaster fire from Star Wars. And there's different kinds of weapons that you can switch between, and different species have different weapons. So you might have like a rapid fire pistol kind of thing. You might have some seeking items. You've got something that's sort of a dumb fired torpedo, but it explodes real big. And basically your goal as your particular denizen of the deep blue sea is to go from a reef to reef. They give you these little areas. They're like home bases. And you're supposed to destroy whoever is guarding them, capture that reef, and ultimately take control of the whole ocean.
Wow, imperialism under the sea.
It's just like that. And you get into these dogfights, like, I mean, it's like, the Return of the Jedi, Battle for Endor, like a lot of lasers going around and stuff. You can have wingmen, you can have like AI controlled. So I had my whole shrimp squad that was with me, and you can set them to like different
Not a
AI.
school.
Yeah, no. Shrimp run in a squad of shrimp. That's the, Murder of Crows squad of shrimp. Um, and you can array them, like you can say, okay, all you guys get out in front and defend me.
Oh,
You can
Total
say,
War style.
oh yeah, like
Yeah.
there's a whole strategic component to this. Oh, absolutely. You can also tell them to swarm a particular target. You can tell them to hone in on your target, and you can also tell them to just free fire and kind of float around individually and kind of do whatever they want. And then of course you have a stamina meter for the fast swimming, and also some of the weapons that you fire take stamina. And you come up against all kinds of other fishy foes. So there are, and I don't even know what they're all called. I mean, there was one that was like a giant. There's like some crabs that are armored, and you got to kind of fight them in a certain
Giant
way.
enemy crabs.
The giant enemy crabs. There are big fish. You can eventually, there's like seals and stuff, and eventually you can get to the point where you're fighting battleships. But the thing is, the vibe of this is just very weird and very sort of low budget. What it really reminded me of, oh, and the music. It's like got this drum and bass, like the whole like kind of
Is this
techno
what is
kind of
this
score.
on? Is this one on
This
PS
was on the
also?
PS4, but
PS4.
it is also on PC. So you can look this
Huh.
up. In fact, you should do this while I'm talking about this. Look up a video on Ace of Seafood and see what it's like. But I tell you what it reminds me of. I mentioned a little bit earlier that I was going to talk about something from like 15 years ago. It reminds me the most of Tokyo Jungle. Do you remember Tokyo Jungle?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
no, I do.
a-
Yeah.
and it had almost exactly the same sort of scenario. So in this game, the reefs that you're finding are sort of like the relics, the sunken relics of human civilization. And it'll even tell you things like humans have transcended and mind and body are separate, but still fishy entities remain, or something like that. Life forms remain. Um,
Wow.
but and the idea is that these different schools of fish, and when you kill fish, you pick up their DNA and you can use those to like spawn new AI companions for you. So you can turn your shrimp squad into a hybrid, sort of shrimp salmon, coalition, and
Mhm.
kind of go lay the smackdown. But it kind of has these hints that human civilization has ended, except for these battleships. For some reason there's these like
They're
modeled
still out there.
battleships. Yeah, they're still sailing around. But kind of in the same way that Tokyo Jungle was, that almost exactly that same idea, but with terrestrial animals.
Post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, and like the animals like form these like little
Yeah.
sort of
It
civilizations
kind
and
of
stuff.
also reminds me of a very different type of game, but EVO, the Search for Eve, the uh, the Super Nintendo game from
Oh
NX, where
yeah.
you evolved
Yeah.
from like a sea creature to begin with, right?
Yeah.
So you like evolve all your jaws and fins into legs and whatnot.
Yeah, that's right.
But that also had this like sort of eerie post human civilization sort of vibe to it, even though it was supposed to be like evolution of life on Earth.
The thing
It was
about
weird.
this that kind of makes the vibe, it's very, it doesn't take itself seriously. Like it kind of knows it's a weird game in kind of that same Tokyo Jungle sort of way. Like it's sort of like it's winking at the idea that it's a real a real video game, I
Yeah,
guess. But
like an Ace Combat.
yeah, or like, and there were a few games like this back in 10, 15 years ago. I mean, I'm reminded of things like The Last Guy. If you remember that, that was also a PlayStation 3 game that was sort of that used Google Maps, and you would like trail these big things of zombies behind you and stuff, but zombies meant
Oh
some
yeah,
totally different thing. Like there were just some weird games, and this
there were.
kind of to me harkens back. I mean, it is almost literally an oceanic version of Tokyo Jungle, but maybe without the all of
Kind of
the
reminds me of like
narrative hooks.
Aquanauts Holiday. Do you know that game?
I'm not familiar with that, but
I think that was a PS1 game. No, maybe PS2.
it kind of, and you can actually see like
Like a Subnautica sort
there's a
of thing.
depth meter, and you have kind of like a avionics kind of like a heads up display kind of view, so you can kind of see where your weapons are going to fire and stuff. And the
Yeah,
control is not really great, and it's just kind of like doofy, stupid fun. And I was watching, and I've seen that people can speed run the game in like
very
10
Japanese
minutes.
game.
Yeah, it's. I didn't look it up, but I can almost guarantee you that this is something that somebody developed in
You know what
Japan.
it actually reminds me of is they used to have this series of like budget games on the
Yeah,
PlayStation,
the
PlayStation
what
2 era.
20, what was it called?
The the Simple 2000
Simple
series,
2000, that's what it was. That's right.
and a lot of those games were kind of like this, like slightly off the wall, fairly low budget.
Katamari Damacy, I think was. I don't know if that was an actual Simple
That
2000.
was a Namco original, but it definitely had that vibe to it, but with
Yeah,
more production values.
barely more production value.
Yeah, right. I mean, they had like animation and a song and stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
So anyhow, I play Ace of Seafood. I was looking for something. The real fishing games didn't do it for me, but Ace of Seafood I think captures more of that pescatarian spirit that lives within me. So I
this
thought I
is
would
like a
share
game
that.
from another era, basically.
It looks like something from literally like early PS3. Simple 2000 is a
Or
great call out. That's exactly
maybe
what it's like.
it says it's a April 2016. Like I guess maybe the modern sort of like PC indie scene has kind of brought back this like B tier
Kind
sort of
of, but
thing.
even now, like I don't know if and it really made me think. Like I was like really was teleported back to the days of Tokyo Jungle, and I went looking for reviews to see how people think about Tokyo Jungle. And there are no like YouTubers didn't exist back then. It was all just like professional
Wait,
review
when was
outlets
that?
only.
It couldn't have been that
That was
long
like
ago.
2008 or 2009 or something like
Really?
that. Yeah,
Damn.
I know, and I'm like, what? This is way old now.
No,
I am
that's
way old now.
no.
Um,
If you ask me when Tokyo Jungle PS3
well,
launch game,
let's look it up. It was
like
not a
PS4 launch game or something.
I also want to shout out Tokyo Jungle Mobile, which I think I've talked about on the show before, like years ago. I think that Tokyo Jungle on mobile actually worked better than Tokyo Jungle on the PlayStation 3. 2012, so not exactly
Okay.
2009, so
Okay,
10 years
2012.
ago, a decade
Yeah.
ago, we had Tokyo Jungle, and several years later, we
And
had
Bob
Ace of
Hope and
Seafood.
Steve Jobs and
But now we got no Jungle,
no Jungle,
no
no
Cash, no
Jobs,
Johnny.
and no
Yeah,
Hope.
that's right. That's it. But you can play Ace of Seafood. We do have the Seafood on PlayStation Plus Extra, along with like 5 other fishing games. And I'm gonna try them all. So look for my fishing sad story, my fisherman's tale next week. This big,
Yeah, the one that got away.
one that got away.
Well, I guess that brings us to the new releases section of the show where we talk about new games that are newly coming out games. Does Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 still count?
This thing freaking I don't know because I remember when Modern Warfare 2.
The first time that
Yeah,
Modern Warfare 2 came
and I
out?
think
Yeah,
they've actually
yeah.
had like Modern Warfare 2 2 or something. Like I don't even know where we're at with this whole thing, but
I couldn't tell you that the last Call of Duty game I played was
yeah.
World at War or something. I don't know.
No, I don't know.
I don't play those games. Anyway, Bayonetta 3 is also now. So,
Hmm.
I liked Bayonetta, the first one. I never got around to the second one.
Yeah, same. I keep wanting to finish the first Bayonetta, and I have not yet. And in fact, I noticed it on my shelf the other day, and I was like, I should play Bayonetta. And I
I
didn't.
even bought the like Bayonetta 1 and 2 for Switch thing. And replaying Bayonetta.
That's the one I've got. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Good game. But yeah,
Mhm.
just I don't know. Anyway, leaked new Destiny guns, allegedly.com. Here's one that I think is definitely a Destiny gun.
Okay.
Love Chi Tan, the truth that doesn't exist.
Wow, that's pretty good. There's probably a whole Grimoire card about that one.
Oh yeah, I'm fascinated to learn the lore of
It's
the
and it's always
truth
like
that
super
doesn't
vague
exist.
too. Like he clutched it. He clutched what was it called? Anyway,
Love
whatever.
Chi Tan.
Loved Cheetan to his chest and died
Yeah.
or whatever.
Anyway, here's another one called Against the Storm, which sounds pretty Destiny to me.
There's one here called Alterity Experience that seems like it would be a.
Oh yeah, that would slip my my list. The last one I chose here was Rule Number 1.
That is a good one. That's really
That's
good.
definitely a Destiny
I like
gun
that.
right there.
I like
Hand
that.
cannon, no doubt. All right, what do we got
Wonderful.
for deals and freebies?
Yeah, deals and freebies. We have some updates for. I mean, it's the beginning of the month, so we've got basically everybody releasing their things. PS Plus for November, which will probably. I think we're probably going to have to wait until next week. Actually, unless they came out today. Usually,
Is that not like a concrete
It's
You
usually
know,
the first Tuesday of the month, which I
after
guess
the first Monday
technically
of
is
the
today, so they might have come out today. Usually they don't
third
wait more than a
Thursday
week. Yeah,
after
it's
the
one of those.
second Monday.
Lego Harry Potter years 1 to 4, fine. Neo 2, fine.
Okay, sure.
And then Heavenly Bodies, which is not.
Oh
No, it's
yeah.
not. It's not what you think it is. It's not one of those
Uh,
tsundere eroge. This is a 2D physics-based kind of zero-G spaceman International Space Station repair adventure or something like. Does that
huh.
I was as I wrote that
Yeah.
down. I was like,
Uh,
this is how we use language to define things.
oh, so it's Solar Jet Man,
It's something like that. Yeah.
that old NES game.
Yeah, it is. We also have Xbox Game Pass stuff that is coming to Game Pass, and they roll these out gradually. So this stuff
Mm.
on this list is going to be spread out over the next couple of weeks. Legrand is going to have a chance to get caught up on The Walking Dead Michonne. I'm pretty sure that was on there, but I don't see it in this list. But The Walking Dead: A New Frontier, the complete season, which I actually don't remember what that is. Is that new? Is that totally new?
I
That's
have
not the
no
old one,
idea.
is it? I don't know either. We've got Football Manager, Vampire Survivors, the console version, which
Hmm.
is kind of fun that's coming out, and it'll be day one
Pentiment,
on
that's out soon.
apparently November 15th. So that one you're gonna have to
Wow.
wait a couple weeks on.
And on Game Pass, no less.
Yeah, and then Return to Monkey Island, which is the new one. I'm really excited about this because I was sort of hyped but not buy on this, but I am very interested to see what ends up being the. I haven't even really read many reviews about this. I've heard that people like it, but Return to Monkey Island comes out a week from today, on November 8th. So
You know, I
it's
guess I shouldn't be surprised about Pentiment because that's an Obsidian game, and Obsidian is owned by Microsoft, are they not?
yeah. In fact,
And it's a first party game, so yeah, of course it's coming to Game
that's
Pass,
right.
right?
Also, if you are an Amazon Prime member, we have a few games last day of June: Fallout New Vegas, Etherborn, Facility 47, Whispering Willows, WRC 9, which is some sort of off-road driving game,
World
and then
Rally Challenge
oh yeah,
Championship.
probably something like that, and then
Yeah.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which I'm not 100% sure which version of this. If this is like the
LucasArts?
old, yeah, like the old adventure point and click maybe. I'm
Huh.
gonna actually try that out and see what that's all about. But that's available all month over at Amazon Gaming, along with various other little game content add-ons that you can get for free over there. I find myself checking that thing fairly regularly. That'll move us on, Dale, to our news and our topics for this
Yeah.
week. And I found a couple of. At first, I was kind of questioning, uh, if this is good news or bad news for a particular platform holder, but it seems like there's kind of bad news all around.
All around, yeah.
Yeah, in the arena of subscription membership and targets for both PlayStation and Microsoft. It has come out that PS Plus has lost 1.9 million subscribers since its relaunch, which was
Hmm.
only like a couple, 3 months ago.
So people are
July.
not crazy about the changes, huh?
No, apparently not. So the number of people subscribing to PlayStation Plus fell from 47 million, which is not bad, to 45 million, which, putting it into some perspective, but that's a loss of nearly 2 million subscribers. And so this is with the whole tiered,
Yeah, was there a price?
PlayStation.
Was there an effective price increase there?
I believe there was. Yes, there was because I remember I had to. I re-upped my regular, just basic PS Plus, which is now what it is. And then when Stray, the cat, platforming robot adventure game came out, I had to pay the difference or whatever to upgrade to that.
Ah,
So there is a price difference. That is correct. But their revenue. The interesting thing about this, though, is that the revenue for basically the money that they make, and this includes subscription revenue, increased by 10%. Which, Dale, like you mentioned, there's this higher tier kind of idea, so there is more money to be made there in that sense. They basically are saying that they haven't had the momentum that they've wanted. Sony hasn't aggressively promoted it, they said, and they're hoping for some better promotions of it in the future. They've also kind of cited more people going outdoors, which
yeah.
maybe, you
Well,
know?
I mean, we're going into northern hemisphere winter now, so
Yeah, that's true. We may
maybe
see
they'll
those
surge again.
those fortunes may turn around. Uh, and then the other thing that was kind of interesting is Microsoft Game Pass has missed their subscriber targets for the second year in a row, actually. And this growth in particular, they were targeting a 73% growth rate for the fiscal year ending in June 2022, but the service only achieved 28% growth. So that seems to
Maybe
be.
they just have all the gamers already. You know, like how much more can you grow?
That's
You know?
true. That whole like late stage capitalism thing where we're just not making enough people anymore to, to continually grow things.
Yeah, right.
But the um the difference though, that 73% target versus the 28% growth is kind of significant. The other thing that's kind of interesting is that from what I remember hearing, and I'm not seeing it here, that this might have been the only metric that's used for some Xbox executives. It definitely dealt with Satya Nadella's
I think I read that it's
performance
his
incentive.
only gaming metric.
Maybe that is. Maybe that's what
I
it
mean,
is.
I would hope that Microsoft CEO is not, 100%,
Purely imagine though,
based
imagine
on
if they did, like imagine
Game
how like
Pass.
all of the benefits would rain down on us.
Can you
Uh,
imagine the like big head that forum posters gamers would have?
I know.
Ugh.
That's pretty funny. Um, and then a couple of other interesting statistics about this, that Game Pass accounts for 10 to 15% of the company's content and services revenue, which is profitable and is a significant amount. They've
Yeah, that's nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, exactly. And then Game Pass growth has been incredible on PC, but has slowed down on console because, as Dale Jones prognosticator,
Saturated.
yeah, they basically have gotten at some point you've reached everybody that is interested in subscribing. There also are a lack of major releases, and we mentioned the upcoming stuff for November aside from Monkey Island. And
Yeah, Call of
maybe
Duty.
Pentiment, some of the like it's all right. Overall, the library is very good, but month to month, it's kind of difficult to find a big tentpole title that's gonna get everybody hyped.
Yeah.
So
We need more of those Ace of Seafood sort of
that's
games.
right. We need to dive deep into the depths
Hmm.
of indie development if that still exists as a thing.
However, we got Embracer over here shutting down B tier studios apparently.
Yeah, and they actually had just recently been purchased and gone through this whole big rebranding thing
Yeah.
as well, just like two
Yeah.
months
What the
ago.
heck?
And I'm not sure. Embracer, they might partly be doing stuff for the IP, but this is a minor studio, so I don't know. I don't know why they would buy that stuff and then.
Are they doing the like? What is it called that like Mitt Romney's company's got like a bad reputation for like you buy something just to like load it up with debt and then shut it down or
Oh
something.
yeah, yeah. I've heard
What do
about
they call
those.
that? I
There's
forgot.
a
There's
name
some
for
term
it.
for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
I don't really know though. This is the studio that had made the various Go Square Enix games, the sort of little experimental Hitman Go, Lara Croft Go, Deus Ex Go, the
Yeah,
little sort of hex based or kind of turn
those
based.
are really good.
A little bit like Gloomhaven actually.
I played all of this actually. They're good. Yeah, Hitman Go especially was good.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, the Lara Croft and the Deus Ex one even was pretty cool. So
Yeah. So, Phil Rogers, who was the director of Embracer's business group, said that we see growth opportunities centered around our premier franchises and AAA games, closing publishing QA and our closing publishing QA and our Onoma studio is a difficult decision and one that we've taken with great care and consideration. But after such a small period of time, you gotta think that they bought it with the intention to shut it down. So what
yeah, right.
exactly they get out of that, I'm not 100% sure. But from what I understand, it's affecting about 200 employees who will either be relocated or are just going to be let go. So,
I hope they find better employment in a better industry.
yeah, that no doubt there. Another bellwether of an industry that churns, Electronic Arts is making at least 3 Marvel games. They have announced a partnership with Marvel to make at least 3 new action-adventure games, each of which will tell an original story set in the Marvel universe. And I don't know if that means like original characters, because do you remember they had that Rise of the Imperfects that they did at one point? There was like a fighting
No,
game, and they invented like their whole own roster
really?
of. Yeah, it was like a fighting game, and they were like, oh, here's
Is Marvel branded or something?
Metaloid Men. Yeah, like they would fight against Marvel characters, but like their
Huh.
EA characters were, it was like the
I don't remember this at all.
the League of not the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. What was that? What was the thing with the shoveler and with Ben Stiller as the
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
Mystery
Meteor
Men.
Man,
Mystery Men.
Mystery
Mystery
Man.
Men. It was like their Mystery Men versus Street Fighter fighting game. But anyhow, so this is not an exclusive deal, and there's actually, and they had previously worked, and I guess these are both Disney franchises, right? Disney intellectual properties now at this
Well, yeah,
point,
Marvel is.
but it is not an exclusive thing like it was with Star Wars, which was the other Disney-based thing. And apparently, former Uncharted creative director Amy Hennig, who we hear about, like her name pops
Yeah,
up
she's on everything.
perennially. She does never actually releases things, but she's
Yeah,
writing
she's just.
something for someone
But her and
somewhere.
Jade Raymond, it's kind of like the same thing. Like they're always like they're in the thick of like early development of stuff, and then they're like gone by
And
the
then it
time
doesn't
anything
work
comes out.
out exactly.
Yeah.
Man, I'm in the wrong line of work. I need to get a, some kind of credential
Hmm.
that'll get me into that kind of business. But Electronic Arts is actually sharing their second quarter results today. In fact, they did, and they're doing some things. So they're announcing stuff, and this was one of them, and it'll be
Well, let
interesting
me
to
ask you
see.
about the Marvel games. Like, are are they indeed all going to be like completely original, or are the Iron Man
Well,
game?
they said telling original stories, so it
Okay.
leaves some room for interpretation there. And since they haven't really announced
Like, what
anything,
would you like to see
um, well,
from
here's
Marvel?
here's here's the problem with asking me about that because um I enjoyed the Square Enix IDOS
Avengers.
Avengers, which nobody did, and actually the Guardians of the Galaxy game that they did was, I think, even better. Like
You
it
like that one
was,
too? Yeah.
I really liked both of those, and I think, and I don't know what the critical reception was for Guardians of the Galaxy, but I don't think either one of
I
them
think it
made a
was decent.
big splash. Was it?
I think it was decent. Yeah.
Um, so as far as what I would want, um,
I'll tell you what I want.
okay.
X-Men. 90s X-Men, like basically the team that's from the X-Men arcade game, but not that game, like a, you know,
I think they're
3D
bringing
game or
that
something.
show back, actually. They're doing like
Oh, I think
X-Men
I did hear that, didn't I?
1990s.
Yeah, the Fox X-Men.
So maybe they,
I mean, that's kind of like the golden era for me, basically, of
okay,
X-Men.
here's actually what I want. I think a beat 'em up game, kind of like the old Konami X-Men, and the beat 'em ups back of the day, because we've been
Yeah,
very graced in the
arcade
last
game
2 or 3
X-Men.
years, because we've had like things like Streets of Rage 4 and Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge and River City Girls, and some of those. We've actually had some really good beat 'em ups. I mean, even stuff like Battletoads. I don't think Battletoads hit the way they wanted it to, but it was pretty all right. And so I think that if they did a new era X-Men, or just the whole Avengers roster, but make it a side-scrolling beat 'em up game, that's a game they
Okay.
would lose some money on, and that's what I want.
No, I'll tell you. Thinking about that, because that's never been my favorite genre. I think what I would prefer over that is freshened take on the like Marvel Ultimate Alliance or whatever. But again, stick to the X-Men mutants thing, and make it play like a Diablo basically.
Well, you might get your wish
Um,
because I think they're making something like, what's that Brotherhood of Marvel Brotherhood or Marvel something or
Midnight
other?
Suns.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's going to be more like XCOM, isn't it?
I think that's a little more XCOM-y. I'm not certain,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
um,
I mean, other than that, you could do like a BioWare style RPG or something, and swap out your team and have them all like interact with each other, dialogue wise, barks and stuff like that during combat. That might be fun too.
how about a game where it's BioWare like Mass Effect-y sort of game, but like you're Professor X
Hmm.
and you have to use the Cerebro machine to like peer into people's minds all around the world, and you find these like young promising students that you want to come to your school for the gifted, which we're referencing a lot this episode.
Yeah, yeah.
And but you have to like, there's not a whole lot of action and fighting because you're an older gentleman, wheelchair bound or whatever. You're
Right.
using your psychic powers
Hmm.
to like go and have dialogue conversations with like the prospective student and like their parents to convince them to let them move from like Sri Lanka to Western New York to your
And,
school or
and it
whatever.
needs to be an
And like,
FMV game. FMV game with
No, don't
yeah.
ruin it.
No,
Don't
that's
ruin
good.
it.
It's perfect. I've got this is it. And then you can zoom in to the fruit bowl that's on the table and find
Mhm.
out where through your Professor Xavier psychic mind powers. You no, I don't know. I don't know.
You find out how the fruit is quantumly entangled.
Right, with the
Magneto's fruit.
exactly. No, let's leave that topic. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. So far, like, it's fine. They've done a lot of good stuff. And Dale and listeners, I think that's going to get us through our main news section, but we still have something left here with the news speed run. Start some of that music. Nice. Good job.
That's freestyle.
I was good. I liked it. Take it.
Hideo Kojima has added a new actress called Shiori Kutsuna, who is apparently from Deadpool 2 and Invasion, which I'm not familiar with. He's added this talent's face to his face board of mystery people for his next game.
Yeah, I'm not.
Which all of his games have celebrities now.
Well, yeah. So this one, I mean, I think he's got like still. I think he had 4 of them, if I remember correctly. And we had Elle Fanning, I think, was the first one.
Right.
And now this lady, Shiori Kutsuna, which I have to admit, I'm not really familiar with her either.
Yeah, I don't know who she is. Is Norman Reedus returning?
For a minute, I was thinking Norm Macdonald, and I'm like, I don't think he's returning.
Is Norm Macdonald going to be in Kojima's next game?
You know what? I wish in some alternate universe, someone got the Norm Macdonald Hideo Kojima game, and that would be brilliant.
Norm Macdonald of Weekend Update era or whatever. Yeah.
Well, Modern Warfare 2, I guess somehow we talked about this already. I'm not sure, but Modern Warfare 2, whatever it is, in 3 days since its launch.
Call of boring.
Yeah, I know. $800 million in the first 3 days. So it still has power, even though the titles are confusing. I don't know.
A lot of people have no taste
and
too much money.
It's true. I've heard it's good, though. Actually, I think Legrand said he played it and he liked it. I don't watch that.
Yeah, figures. Legrand, bro. Bro gamer extraordinaire.
Yeah,
Legrand
jolly.
Keep it frosty, Legrand. Netflix confirms The Witcher Season 4. Geralt has been recast because apparently Henry Cavill, I don't know, I guess didn't like the way the series was going or something. So anyway, that's a shame because I thought Henry Cavill was
pretty ideal,
pretty perfect as Geralt of Rivia. I honestly don't know which Hemsworth we're even talking about here. Can somebody help me out? Who's
Liam?
Who's Liam Hemsworth?
I thought
is he the one on Westworld?
He might be one of the kids from One Direction. I'm not 100% sure.
I don't.
Liam.
He's not Thor.
There was no.
I don't think he's the Westworld one either. I think that's.
I gotta ask. Did I get this right? Are there already 3 seasons of The Witcher? Has season 3 come out yet?
I believe so.
Oh gosh.
I'm not certain. I still haven't seen season 2.
Yeah.
Season 1 was excellent though.
I know. What happened? See, why does this happen? Like, this happens to me a lot. A show that I think is fine, and then I just kind of stop, and there's not really a reason why, I guess.
It happens to me also, and then I end up watching other stupid crap that I can't explain.
I don't know. Phil Spencer of Xbox fame says that Call of Duty will remain on PlayStation at, quote, as long as the platform exists, which I find to be kind of interesting wording. Dun. Yeah, I know. Which it's a potentially long-term commitment, question mark?
It's one of those Chinese proverb answers.
As long as the platform exists, Call of Duty will remain on PlayStation.
Riego Kodama, developer of Phantasy Star, Skies of Arcadia, etc., passed away at the age of 58. Apparently,
that's too bad.
It's sad. That's young, like 58.
Well, hey, since we're already on the morgue train here, let me hit you with something even younger. No. The frontman from Low Roar, which was the band that was involved in Death Stranding, Hideo Kojima was like a big fan of this. Their frontman Ryan Karazija is dead at the age of 40 from pneumonia complications. Man. And
that's younger than me.
Yeah, same. So Kojima, broken up about it, released a public statement saying that without their music, Death Stranding would not have existed. He might be overstating it a little bit, but yeah, it's not good news. It's kind of
that sucks.
Yeah.
Moving swiftly along, PlayStation London will not be making gadget games. Apparently, these are the guys that made VR, etc. But They're
Oh,
going to be doing some online co-op.
yeah, online co-op fantasy London game. So they've got some screenshots of this. They did an interview with
The Getaway sequel
games
to the
industry.
Getaway.
Wouldn't they? Yeah, they, no, it's some sort of co-op online game. I guess I must have not filled this out completely in the outline, but anyway, they're not doing kitschy, which kind of makes me wonder what happened to who were the guys who ended up doing all that Connect stuff? And they had done all of the
Oh,
oh, dude, I'm blanking on the name and the game.
you're not talking about
That fantasy.
Tetsuya Mizuguchi.
No. Peter Molyneux's. It's not
Oh, yeah,
Lionhead.
Bone.
It was, and they ended up doing like the river raft thing where you had to, just
Yeah.
who was that, and what was the name of the game series that they had previously been doing? Fable, the Fable
Fable.
guys. Who were those? Was that Lionhead?
I think
I
that's
thought they
Lionhead.
closed Lionhead. I thought Lionhead was
I don't
gone
know.
now. I don't know
Yeah,
either.
beats me, man.
Anyway, whoever they are, I wonder what they're doing. Who knows? The Last of Us TV series now has a sort of official, unofficial date. It will premiere in January on HBO, according to a listing from that series.
And can we stop with The Last of Us already? Oh my God, come on.
This,
first, the
this
game
may
gets
not.
re-released every 6 months, and now we got this dumb.
Listen, I'm gonna coin a famous phrase here from Winston Churchill. This may not be The Last of Us. It may not even be the first of The Last of Us, but it may be the last of the first of The Last of
The
Us.
Last of Us.
Does that work?
I mean, I like. Come on, I like The Mandalorian.
Yeah. That's me. I was
had-
like, oh wow, and then they kept doing it,
had
and I'm like,
enough of,
I fell off of everything after that.
I've had enough of The Last of Us
Yeah.
as of the first game on the PlayStation 3. Don't need any more. Anyway, mere minutes after Jeremy unknowingly asks for a new day. See, I thought you were trolling.
No, I had no idea. I genuinely had no idea, and you were like, hey, I've got news for you, and I just found as I was watching the news that this actually is a thing.
Yeah. So Jeremy on Discord today,
I
come
picked
join
I picked
our
up vibrations.
podcast Discord.
Yeah.
If you're not a member, come join. Jeremy is like, just out of nowhere, like
I was literally, I
oh,
just was thinking about it.
I should play Deus Ex Mankind Divided.
Must be waiting for the next. Yeah.
Before there's a sequel. And like 20 minutes before I saw his post, I had literally seen a tweet where somebody was like, "Oh, there's a new Deus Ex just got announced." And so I had to pass along the news.
My judgment on this is that I have now willed this game into existence.
I don't think this is the first time this has happened. Actually, I think there was at least one other time, Jeremy, where like you osmosed something.
Well, I know another time that it did happen. I can think of 2 times that it's happened, and none of them they're for my other hobby, which is collecting records. And this was 2 or 3 years ago. I said, I've got to have the music of Katamari Damacy on vinyl.
Yes.
And within 2 weeks, it was announced as a release from Mondo, and I willed it into existence.
But that's a reasonable thing to expect. Like that should be out there. I should have it.
Exactly. And so if somebody hasn't already thought of it, my brain waves, like the quantum entanglement of trees talking to other trees, will make this thing happen. The second time it happened was I did that same thing with another record for a game called Russian Subway Dogs, which the music to that game slaps, by Peter Chapman, who did Guacamelee.
Okay.
And not too long later on that year, somebody picked it up. And actually, that might have been somebody hearing me and saying, like, this is a genius idea. I'm going to go make it
That
happen.
would almost have to be somebody listening to your show. Because where else are they going to hear about it?
I'm just saying, I might be a tastemaker. I might have some sort of control over time and reality and probability. I don't know. Who can say?
That's your mutant power.
That's it. My latent mutant power has finally come out with my puberty. Whatever. I don't know. Guys, the latent mutant power of this podcast has finally been revealed, and that is the power to end. And we've reached the ending of this podcast.
Exactly 30 minutes.
30 minutes every single time. It's just, who can explain it? Nobody.
Yep.
It's indescribable. And we thank you very much, listeners, for making it all the way to the end with us. If you have any thoughts, any comments, any shares that you want to give us, games that you've been playing, anything about the news, anything that we missed, reach out to us. You can do that on social media. Nobody does, but we're still sticking.
Reach out and touch me.
We're still doing the same podcast outros from 15 years ago. Whatever. This is just how it operates. And we're still using Twitter. I don't care who owns it. Whatever. It's the thing. We're just going to keep doing it. You can find this podcast on Twitter at Game Bytes Show on Twitter. You can also reach out to us individually. I am at Jeremy_Lamont.
I'm at Count Eldor, and I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm going to continue to be a staple on that platform.
Why should we change? He's the one who sucks.
That's right. That's right. We're gonna outlast him. I don't know. I don't feel strongly about it. It wasn't good before. It's not going to be good now. Whatever.
Yeah, no, that's basically.
Gosh, you can find our other co-host Legrand Jolly is on Twitter at Legrand. You can find Jared Red Eye Dunn at red_I. You can find us at youtube.com/GameBytes Show, where you can see this thing happen live, this train wreck. You also get some bonus content. We had some beforehand. Maybe we'll have some after. I don't know if we have something interesting to talk about.
See how phlegmy we are?
Yeah, we get pretty phlegmy by the end of this thing. It's our secret. That's our secret mutant power. You can also find us at GameBytesShow.com, where there is a standing invitation link to join our Discord. You should do that. We keep you up to date on freebies. We got some good memes. There's news. There's music. There's all kinds of stuff going on there, and we're there. Yeah. So 50-50, whatever. Like,
come and check us out.
That's right. Come do that. And of course, we will be back in about a week to do the same thing again. I want to thank Dale, my co-host, for being here this evening. Dale, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Legrand, Jared, thanks for nothing this week, but we love you, whatever. And listeners,
go back to Call of Duty.
Yeah, that's right. Go back doing that thing you're doing. And listeners, thank you for being with us this week. And until then, this has been your show. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Be seeing you.
30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Actually, I don't, I'd stop my recording. I don't really look at the time until I get to the end. And it's 2 hours.
I keep it open to make sure that
stuff is working.
Our waves are still being formed, because too many times it's just seem to drop out in the middle.
Yep. That happens once and then you're nervous forever. Yeah. Oh man. Well, I don't know. I don't know if we have any special bonus after show content. Game Bytes Show After Dark.
The live stream is bonus enough.
It is kind of bonus enough.